Hello! Welcome to HearthCenter. We're here for week 5. I am Donde. I am happy to bring you some awesome stuff tonight alongside Lotus Knight. Lotus, how are you this evening?
Doing very well, Dande. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Exciting week. A lot of stuff going on in THL. We've got a guest tonight. You can see right below me there. It is literally a puppy. He is our third co-caster. He's a little quiet, good boy, but he's along for the ride tonight. So What are we doing tonight, Lotus? We are recapping week 4 in Pro. We've got the debut of the Legacy Player Power Rankings and Hero Power Rankings, and we're going to be talking about the matches of the week. Those are prospective stream matches this week. Uh, you know, uh, I think we should just get into it. I don't know, is there anything, any reason you see not to get started here?
No, I think we should get into it as well.
All
Super
right.
excited this week.
Absolutely. Thank you, by the way, Isocles, with the subscription for the third month in a row. Top 50 confirmed. Top 50 confirmed. What? Are you top 50 right now? Because shout out to you if you are. All right. So week 4 recap. Before we talk about the games, let's take a look at the current team power rankings in week 4, courtesy of our friends over at the THL Power Podcast. That's Matt at Arms and Dano. Thanks to them for putting out a fantastic product every week. So as you may have seen or heard from their discussions on the podcast and in the Discord, these are the current rankings that they have of our various teams here in Pro Series. So starting with the Beard Boys right at the top, FTL and Taste the Rainbow is kind of the power three right now, which makes sense. They're all 4-0. Beard Boys are the golden legendary, while FTL and Taste the Rainbow are mere legendaries. Not that that's anything to be ashamed of. The next tier down would be the Unknown and Aeon. They're both in the Epic section, very much in the playoff hunt. Bad to the Bone and Top Hatted Titans are next at Golden Epic, and then Tap Last, the Menagerie, the other guys at Epic. Propane Gang and Defias Brotherhood are at Common right now. So Lotus, I know I like to contribute to these power rankings, of course, in the Discord survey. Are you paying close attention to their podcast here and tuning in every week and submitting your opinions?
I should be more. I think I should contribute more to them. This week has been a mess, just work wise, but this looks like a very strong ranking, though.
Yeah, this is definitely. I think it's fairly accurate. I think Bad to the Bone would be the shocker on most
Yes.
people's minds. Right now they're ranked sixth, and they were a preseason, if not a playoff contender, possibly a top pick to win it all. And they're right in the hunt, so it's not too bad. But I would have thought that there'd be a little bit of a gap between them and a team like Top Hatted Titans that started the season hot and struggled in week 2 and
Yes.
3.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said again about the strength of Pro this season. There are a lot of great players playing. Many teams actually. I think this is the largest number of teams Pro has ever had.
It is absolutely.
Yeah, so it's looking really strong. I am the team that surprises me the most just because of the PR and how I know the players is Taste the Rainbow. I was not expecting them to do this well, even if I was expecting them to be a good team, and I'm very happy for them.
Yeah, they've got some tougher tests coming up too, but for right now they've aced all the tests put in front of them, and that's going to be this week they played Defias Brotherhood, which we're going to go ahead and pop the games up on the screen here and talk about what happened in week 4. So we'll get to Taste the Rainbow in a second, but as usual, let's just start at the top of the standings, which was the Beard Boys versus the Unknown, which was a really hype match. Ended up being 16-8 for the Beard Boys, so they will maintain the number 1 spot at 84 points this week. They are just absolutely crushing. 21 points a week right now is very, very impressive in this stacked series. The Unknown, 8 points, not their greatest effort. They did manage to win one series as Solo Jazz beat Lesmos, which some would probably consider to be at least a slight upset since Lesmos was undefeated. But Myanodon is marching on to 4-0. And Lawful Dog subbed in with a win over Charmo as Honest Zabe was, doing that whole Arlington Masters Tour thing because he's kind of a good player and stuff. Hockey with a 3-2 win over Ron Mexico, and Boozosaurus with a sweep over Catman. So pretty impressive here. Beard Boys take a tough team behind the woodshed, so to speak, winning 4 of the 5 series.
Yeah. The Beard Boys has been putting a lot of work, and it shows. I mean, yeah, they didn't have Zabe this week, but Lawful Dog is just as good of a representative. Myadodon, a great player. I'm scared of what the Beard Boys will do. I think they'll do some good damage this time.
I mean, if you look at even if you take Lawful Dog out and put Zabe back in, that's 3 losses, 3 match losses
Yes,
for them, one
that
for
is
each of their
crazy.
bottom 3 players. Yeah, that's nuts. That's a heck of a run to start the season. So looking forward to seeing if they can keep that going. FTL,
Yeah,
second place team. They're in second with 75. They are also 4-0. Had a much closer match against the other guys who did fall to 1-3. So FTL now 13-10 here. This was a little bit more, I guess, kind of shocking that the top two players were Bobson and Liquid Ox did not get wins. They were previously undefeated, but Tony Montana, he's 4-0 for the other guys and pacing them over there. Dirty Mike with a sweep over Liquid Ox 2-2. He advances to 2-2, I should say. Snake, Berserk, and Itachi all getting it done in the 3-4-5 for FTL, beating JR Juggerlaw, Lefty, and Surlos. So, again, a game that I think we all kind of predicted would go FTL's way, but they didn't quite capitalize with as many points as they would have
yeah,
liked.
yeah. I think it's true. The other guys is such a weird team for me because they're a hero team. Other than JR, all of them are in a hero team together. So it's very surprising to me how well they can do. It shows kind of how PR is a little bit of a tricky representation sometimes.
Well, that I think helps with the cohesiveness as well. And I will say, as a member of that team last season, as JR swapping in for me was the only change they made, there is a lot of cohesion there. It's guys that know each other. They've played a long time with each other. And,
Yes.
there's like prepping done, but you don't really have to, like, have that constant attention to, like, every single day, like no one's bugging people to email their opponent. No one's bugging people to submit stuff. Like you just kind of have that, that smooth oiled machine kind of feeling. It's not really equating to them. They're standing this season right now at 46 points, but there's still time. Only 4 weeks in the season. Less than halfway there. So I think they can get back on track. Tony's having a great season. He just needs a couple people to kind of pick it up and get there with him.
Yeah.
So the big win of the week, biggest win point wise, would be Taste the Rainbow that we talked about over Defias Brotherhood. Taste the Rainbow moving to 4-0 and Defias dropping to 0-4. So it was a 17-7 win. Taste the Rainbow is 5 points behind FTL in third right now, and this was a strong win. Comp got the only win for Defias Brotherhood
Yeah.
over Skittles. Which that was his first win of the season, so congrats to him for that. Ekonami and Izanami fell to Brick and Quirky Turtle respectively and stay winless, unfortunately. Cypher Zero, newest member of Defias Brotherhood, lost after winning the first week to your Mumked, who is having a great season of his own at 4-0, a big sweep there, and Inzi rounds it out with a win over Epical Noise 3-2. So Taste, as you mentioned, kind of the surprise of the season, and I don't think that this result was surprising, however, do you?
Um, I don't think it was surprising. I really like this team. I think they're putting a good work. Some of the bands surprised me. I'm not used to seeing Shaman a lot, especially not playing pro right now. Shaman is not in a great state, but yeah, I think this looks like a stronger team than I expected initially, and I'm glad to have been wrong.
Yeah, Taste of Rainbow definitely impressing so far, and Quirky getting on the board with a win.
Yeah.
I don't want to write a team off, but Defiance Brotherhood is pretty far back right now, even with a
Yes.
good chunk of the season to go. I think it would be very hard for them to be making the playoffs at this point, but they can certainly play spoiler and take some points off teams, and continue to obviously improve as a team if they do want to push forward into season
Yeah.
3 of Pro.
It's not impossible. They can still do it.
Oh,
They're
without a
just
doubt.
going to need to put in a lot of work, and the RNG is going to have to kick in as well. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of RNG if they want to get there. But I would say there's still a chance. I think they can't waste a week anymore, though. Any loss
Yeah.
is done.
Yeah, I would say you're right about that. They pretty much have to sweep out, which would make them 7-4 on the season, and it is a long season,
Yeah,
so it's there for the taking, but got to be flawless because the teams above you are probably going to be continuing to gather
yeah.
a good amount
I
of
mean,
points.
Beard Boys has more than triple your points, I believe. Exactly triple your points. So that's never really nice. You basically need to catch up really fast.
I mean, the good news is they don't have to beat the Beard Boys to get in the playoffs. They just have to beat the fourth place team to get in the playoffs, and of course every other team below
Right.
the fourth place team. So, might not want to shoot that high, but if you can shoot somewhere, as we talk about the fourth place team currently, Aeon, Aeon and Bad to the Bone tied with 60 points in fourth right now. That's a much more attainable goal than it is to get that
That is
extra
true.
24. So speaking of that, Aeon gets a 16-13 win over Propane Gang to move to 2-2. Propane Gang drops to 0-4, but they do pick up 13 points. This was quite the back and forth battle. Ridiculous Hat with a sweep over Silent Red RT. That was a 3-1 win for him. Markshire and Coles both fell in the middle of the lineup there. Craig of Canada and the Town Drunk, respectively, with 3-2 wins. I got a win over It's Me Mike V with a 3-2 score, and Two Star Mako with a 3-2 win over Darkside. So this was a absolute slugfest. Like every series, looking at replays and everything, just seemed to be so very close, and scores definitely showed
Yeah.
that as accurate.
Yeah, I think so. This looks like a super close match. Darkseid and Pro has been his results have been suboptimal. I mean, he hasn't won a match. I think he didn't win any matches last season and got all the way to the finals, and he hasn't won any matches this season either. But he's a good captain. He's led many teams to wins or at least really far. So I think Propane Gang isn't dead yet, but it is going to be rough.
I mean,
Aeon,
they were a finals team last season.
yeah, with him at 0-10, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that's if he can get it going, the rest of this team is
Yes.
not looking too bad right now. 2-2 across the board, except for It's Me Mike V at 1-3. These are records that I think you can recover from, and if Darkseid can turn it on, I
Yeah.
think this team can definitely be back in the hunt. 39 points, not as low as say Defias is, definitely not where you want to be, but I think they're within striking distance of making a run here for the playoffs still.
I would say so. Yeah.
So our fifth game of this past week was that previously mentioned Bad to the Bone playing Tap Last, and this was maybe the upset of the week with Tap Last winning 16-14. Bad to the Bone is now two
Yeah.
and two, and Tap Last also 2-2. So Ace subbed in. Actually, it was a battle of subs at the top here. Typhoon beat Ace 3-2. Avi beat Valdis 3-2 for Bad to the Bone, and Pasca gets a win over Bill Snyder 3-2. Then Tap Last took the bottom two slots, also 3-2 matches with a Heat Shock win over Manny Skull and a Nerdstrom win over A2 Battleship. So again, very close. Every series
Yes.
coming down to Game 5, maximum amount of points awarded here. I think if you're Bad to the Bone, you don't necessarily feel too awful about this loss. Tap Last is a great team, and you put up a ton of points, so I wouldn't be too concerned with that result if I were them.
No, I think they're probably still feeling the fact that if one of the last matches had gone a different way, they would have won. Just because of how close it was in every possible way. But they're a good team. They're still in. They're tied for fourth. So yeah, they're going to need to get some points, but they have faced some of the strongest teams already. And I think Tap Last is also still in the running.
Oh, very much so. It's only 3 points out of fourth right now, so they're right there. And I think that's always the key in THL is if you're gonna lose close. And I know that's the most cliche
Yeah,
thing, and it's not. If you know numbers, it's a pretty obvious statement, but it holds true. Obviously, if you're gonna lose, try to get to Game 5 in your series. Keep fighting because even getting
yeah,
one extra point sometimes can be the difference between a season where you're out of the playoffs and a season where you make it. So, kudos to Bad to the Bone for getting as many points as they did, even though they did not win the match. And then our final match of the week was the Menagerie versus Top Hatted Titans. Top Hatted Titans won that one 15-9. They started off the season with a win, and then just kind of faded the last two weeks. But they get the win over Menagerie to move to 2-2, and Menagerie will drop to 1-3. There were two sweeps on this one. Lil Harthy with a 3-0 over Mata, and Top Hat Dean with a 3-0 over Triss. Those are the 4 and 5 respectively for the Top Hat Titans. And then Based Inc. gets a win over Icer 3-1. Twos with a sub win over Silver T Fox. Demon with a 3-2 win. And then the last win for the Top Hatted Titans was Starlax over Nine Eyebrows 3-1. So this one, had its fair share of ups and downs here. Big wins for Top Hatted Titans and some close wins for the Menagerie. And the Top Hat Titans were like kind of the story of Week 1, and now they've kind of settled a little bit back down to earth. Do we think that they're kind of getting back into form, or do we think that Week 1 and Week 4 are less what we can expect for them out of the rest of the season? And do you think that they will be a contender here as we move forward?
So I think there are a few things. One, there was a DQ in this match, which can affect the result. Not saying that Top
Sure.
Hat Demon wouldn't have won or anything like that. I would never claim that. I cannot see alternate timelines yet.
Yet.
Yet someday. But what I can say is both of these teams are at the point where either they start playing better and getting a few more wins, or it's going to get harder. The Menagerie does get a. They do have, even if they are 1-3, they have a nice number of points so far. So really, they can still recover. But I think this might be the wake up call, or if they get a bit further behind, it's going to be it for both of them.
Yeah, Base and Nine Eyebrows have been both playing very well, and Nine Eyebrows tripped up a little bit this week,
Yes.
but not a big deal. 2-1 before coming into this match here. I think they've got the solid players at the top. They just need to get that support from the bottom half of the lineup, and they can be right there. But yeah, that's a tough one. You want to get more points than 9, obviously. That's one of the lower score counts for the week, so that is going to hurt them there against a team that they
Yeah.
probably felt that they had a good shot to at least come out with a close win, if not try to pick up like a 20-point week or something.
Right. Yeah, I think as we show the previous teams, this is not a point where you can waste matches against the quote unquote rare teams anymore. You need to
Yes,
be hitting the epics, you need to be beating those legendaries every once in a while if you want to climb to the next tier.
absolutely. So before we move on, any last second thoughts on week 4?
Not really. Good week overall, I would say.
Yeah, exciting week, a lot of close matches.
Yeah.
So that means we're about to talk about the Legacy player power rankings. Now, before we do that, we're going to take a quick ad break here. I'm going to send it over to me. So I'm going to humbly thank and request any future subs to the channel. I thanked Icicles earlier for his sub, and it's much appreciated whenever you do sub to our channel because it gives us the opportunity to bring you better and better content alongside prizes and whatnot for our extra tournaments and our extra different events that we have going. Hopefully we'll have one next week. Details coming. But yeah, just in general, thank you guys for all that you do out there in Twitch land. Lotus, thank you again for subscribing as well. And yeah, just turn on those notifications so that way you can come in and join us here in chat whenever we do go live. So we really appreciate it. So I think I've delayed the I've delayed long enough here, so I think we're going to talk about these legacy power rankings before everybody decides to grab the pitchforks.
Yes.
So as always, we are going to show the honorable mentions first. Actually, before we show anything, let's just explain how this whole thing works. There's a formula. So these are not like personal feelings of mine. I have a formula, and that spits out who is where. So if you want to yell at someone, you have to yell at me, but it is the formula that is doing this. So we will always talk about the top 10 players in each series, and then there will be an honorable mention section. This week we won't see any movement because this is the first week, but in future weeks we'll see, increase or decrease in the rankings. So this is going to be your legacy honorable mentions to start with. Yes, Booze, you did miss Pro Recap. I apologize. Diamond, this puppy is from the internet. I do not know whose puppy this is. I just thought he or she looked cute, and I wanted a puppy on stream tonight. So that's what we're doing because I operate it, so I can do what I want.
True.
I figured nobody would mind
I mean,
particularly.
I'm just dancing here.
Yeah, the puppy's puppy's super cute and completely inoffensive, like no drama with the puppy. So I love the puppy, and I don't even know if at just a puppy is a legit actual Twitter handle, but it seemed like it probably is.
I'll find out.
While you're looking it up, let's bring up the honorable mentions for Legacy. So these are in no particular order, just the general 11 through 15 players.
Not a handle.
Zeroshio 3-1 from the Gold Conference with a 10-8 game score. Zethon 2-1, 8-4. I was 3-1 11-6. Lost this week, unfortunately. Chewbacca 3-1, also 11-6. Lefty Dos Uno 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 3-1 with a 9-4 record. So these are all your just missed the top 10 players. Um, Now I know you have seen the top 10, so I don't obviously want you to give anything away, Lotus. But anybody here that you felt maybe was a top 10, or if there was anybody that was not really deserving of this section, you can say me if you want. I won't be offended.
I mean, I always say you. But I think all of these players have been playing really well. I wouldn't say anyone is not deserving. No. I think they're doing nice. I'm not sure about Zethon with the 2-1 yet because we'll have to wait and see what the how that looks and how it looks with extra weeks. Some of the players did get a sub for a week, so you don't really have that one match.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is something I actually wanted to talk about. Is that obviously we are looking at some not symmetrical schedules here, as some players will have only
Yes.
played 3 matches, some will have 4. If you've played 4 matches, you naturally have one more week with which you can have acquired a win, which will give you the advantage. This will all even out over time, but I think we're going to see a lot more weirdness in the rankings on a week-to-week basis because of the fact that it's not symmetrical. So that was a little bit of challenge as far as making sure that players who haven't played 4 weeks aren't completely underrepresented. The formula is Sage is asking. The formula does take into account not only match and game win rate, but also significant wins over other strong players. So there is a bit of uh, an uptick for people who have won in
Yeah.
matches that are high leverage. There's also a detractor for people who have gotten DQ losses. It's pretty severe because we don't like you getting DQs here. You should be playing your matches.
No.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty. It's pretty tough to be on the power rankings and have a DQ loss. Just saying. But it also doesn't necessarily hurt you to be the recipient of a DQ win, not nearly as much as you would imagine it to. So
Right. One thing to add here, um, as with statistics in general, we're only basing this on 4 samples.
of course.
So all the numbers right now are going to be way messier because strength of schedule is a thing, because Legacy has a break week, and each team takes the break week at a different time. So you can't really say perfectly that with the current samples, this is a perfect estimate and this is already the best player and should be super afraid of it. No, it just means that the samples so far highlight that the player is pretty good. And if these numbers maintain, you should expect their position to basically only increase.
Yeah, this is not a scientific process by any means. We're trying to take some of the subjectivity out of it, but at the end of the day, it's not perfect. So that's why I do welcome
Yeah.
I do welcome the criticism, or if people think I got something wrong, or someone is snubbed, then by all means, please let me know. And I will say these will all be going up on the blog after the show, so they will be in one collective place that you can see them once we're done here. But wanted to do the reveal in real time for you guys. And speaking of the reveal, let's go ahead and look at the top 10 for Legacy. We are going to reveal everything at one time, and just know that it hurts me when I click this button. It hurts me so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, Coles is at the top. Oh, I don't want that in my life.
Yeah.
I can't handle this, man. This is the second time this has happened to me where I have to say nice things about him, but he is legit doing so well. He's 4-0, 12-2 right now. I don't I don't want to say any more about him. But so let's go from the bottom up. A lot of gold representation here in the bottom half of the top 10. Bill Snyder 4-0, 12-8. Ron Mexico 3-1, 11-6. Sanguine 3-1, 10-3. And Zabe, even with the week off, is 3-0, 9-4. So that's number 7. Darkside, he may not be doing the best in pro, but he is killing it in Legacy right now. 6th place, 3-0, 9-2. And then you start to get into the top half where Bobson is 4-0 in his THL return at 9-3. Liquid Ox has legit not lost a game yet. He's 3-0, 9-0. Desharmo 4-0 at 12-4. Disco 4-0 at 12-5, and then Cole's at 12-2, also 4-0. So there's just a lot of undefeated players right now, and as you would imagine, every single one of them made the top 10. So these are all fantastic players. Congratulations to all the players so far who are doing so well. We hope you continue doing that, unless you play against like my team. I don't want you to do too well. You can calm down with that. But for right
Or
now,
you can beat their team. I
don't
am
no, don't
totally fine
listen to
with that.
Lotus. No, he's wrong. You can't listen to him. But I will ask Lotus, any opinions on this top 10 here so far? Anybody you feel like maybe should have been moved up or down? Anything at all. I'll
Um,
let you go.
I think Bill Snyder should be higher. Yeah, he has a 12-8, but I think the 4-0 is much more significant than actually the 12-8 record. So I would have him higher. Also, he's beaten me, and I still haven't beaten him back. So
So that's a little personal. A
yeah,
little personal.
there's a little personal. There's always something personal. No, he's a good player, very nice guy. Um, I have no ill omens to people that beat me or I've beaten in any ways. I think out of these, I can see a few that are really solid players. Ron Mexico has had an amazing record last season and just isn't really surprising to be here. Zave is a great player. He's been doing really well in tournaments and ladder and just all around really nice job. Same for Liquidox actually, who's been in a very
He's 9 and
similar
0.
cruise. Yeah, he's
9
9
and
and 0.
0.
He's still to
But
lose one match.
by the way, was legend on day 1 of this month.
He was.
He was legend rank 3, and twos was legend rank
Yeah.
1. Like, geez,
Tooth was
THL is
the
out
first
there.
one to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
Typhoon was like 4th.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy people, man. That's just like, first of all, dedication,
It's
like to get out
crazy.
there and just go for it on day 1. But to not only I mean, a lot of people will try, but how many people will succeed? So I definitely want to give praise where it's due in regards to that.
Yeah. No, I think this is awesome. This looks.
It's because let's not diminish their accomplishment there, Diamond. If it was because everyone was at Arlington, there would have been a lot of us at Legend the first day.
Yeah, I would say that's true. It certainly does impact that there's Arlington, but it's still quite a feat to get there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would say that they're all doing really well. I think I want to see how Coles does. Coles is a great player. I've faced him 3 times now. Either 2 or 3
I'm pretty
times
sure
at
you've
this
beaten him at
point.
least once or twice too.
I've beaten him at least once. I've lost to him at least once that I can remember. And I know I've beaten him 3-0 and I've lost to him 0-3 before. That's all that
Everything
I
in
remember.
balance. Everything in balance.
Yes. So it's going to be fun. We're facing each other in a few weeks, I'm sure. So it's going to be another good match. Um, yeah,
Maybe that'll be your ticket into the top 10 here if you can take him down.
maybe we'll see.
Well, that is so that's the legacy, the debut of the legacy power rankings here. So we are, of course, going to talk about the hero power rankings as well. Just before we get to that, obviously, chat. You guys can feel free to chime in on any of these. Any last second thoughts from you, Lotus, before we tackle the next set of 15 players?
Really strong players doing really well. I'm super happy to see where the season is going. I think it's going to be a very close race in Legacy, Hero, and Pro.
Oh, absolutely.
So, congratulations to everyone for playing really well. Hope to see some new names pop up. We'll be sad to not see some names there anymore.
It's
Also, you can, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free with Twitch Prime, and it's really nice for us.
uh,
Well, for Donde.
yes. Well, it's nice for everybody. Question in chat is Coles. Hi, Coles. Thanks for showing up, buddy. He asks, "How do I feel about always being honorable mention but never top 10?" So, first of all, screw you. Second of all, I have been top 10. It just was not for very long. So I've been there. Not number 1, but I've been there. So let's calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I think the issue is that Coles hasn't been coaching Donde.
Oh yes, that's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah, I
that's
would say
exactly
that's
it.
the
He knows there's a standing invite. He can best of 81 me whenever he wants.
reason. Oh, we should stream that.
I would absolutely stream that. And then I would be very angry when you all see me. No, it wouldn't happen. I'd be winning. Anyway, Coles is a guest. Coles is not welcome on this show, Diamond. All right. This show has very few specific rules. Coles is not allowed on it. That's the biggest rule. All right, so honorable mentions for Hero. Let's start there. I cheated a little bit. There are actually 6, so we're going to 16 players this week, mainly because the bottom 3 of this list were literally just tied across the board in every metric. So we have Catman 1950 3 and 1, 10 and 5, and Thralamund 3 and 1, 10 and 5. Avi is 3 and 1, 11 and 8, and then Snake, Dano, and Disco all 3 and 1, all 10 and 7. So shout out to Disco for being on both lists here, as that's very tough to do. So that's
Yes.
that's 7 and 1 across the two primary Legacy Hero series there, not including Pro. That's great. That's awesome. Like, just shout out to you, man. And he beat me last week too. I will say, very solid player. And if you see Disco on your schedule, definitely know that you're in for a solid fight. So, yeah, I'm impressed by all these players here. What are your thoughts on this bottom 6?
I think these are all great players. I would not be surprised if any and all of them climb to the next step next week. Yeah, looking forward to see some hero action and how they go up.
Yeah, I love Hero series.
Yes.
I had some good luck last season, not as much this season, but still a good time. And I think this was mentioned by Hockey Boys actually in Discord earlier today that closed list for Hero is better than Conquest, and I know there's a lot of thoughts on that. I do agree. I think it lets there's a lot more creativity there than just playing
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily the most versatile classes. There's a lot of like little nuances that go into deck construction and lineup construction. I definitely like it a lot, and I think we see a lot of players do very, very well in Hero when they embrace that. Like a lot of really high scoring records, more so than in Legacy, which tends to be a little bit more even, I would imagine,
Yeah.
from the last few seasons of doing the player power rankings.
Yes. There's also something interesting to me about Hero versus Legacy, where I think Hero is not as much about tech cards. Hero is more about choosing tech decks. So you can go with a deck that typically is really bad, but that can target specific things your opponent is trying to do.
Absolutely.
Versus you can't do that as easily. Sometimes you can, and I did have my great run with full cube lineup with cube paladin and cube rogue in Legacy a few seasons ago. But it's something that doesn't work most of the time unless you're facing very strong specific decks.
And you just reminded me of the cube meta, and now I'm sad all over again.
Oh, that was awful.
It was not my favorite meta. I know some people loved it. I did not.
I did not like cube.
On that note, on that note, now that I'm very sad, I'm going to go ahead and reveal the actual top 10 of Hero series. So, woo. Also, Hat wants you guys to get your classes in. I don't know if that was directed at me specifically to submit my classes, but yeah, definitely get your classes in. Due tonight. So this is the Power 10 as we see 5 undefeated players at the top and a nice smattering of 3 and 1 players. Starting from the bottom to Sharmo, 3 and 1, 9 and 5. Trippy Toad, 3 and 1, 11 and 5. Lil Harthy, 3 and 1, 10 and 5. Electabuzz, 3 and 1, 11 and 4. And then Ron Mexico, 3 and 1, 11 and 7. So all these players very, very close. Off the top of my head, I believe Agent PWE played last season, if I'm not mistaken. So that would make Lil Harthy my personal favorite for the Rookie of the Season. Trippy Toad right there as well, who got his first loss of the week this week. Yes, Hat confirms that PWE did play last season. And speaking of PWE, let's talk about the top 5. Blue Spartan 4-0, 12 and 5. Sage 4-0, 12 and 4. Agent PWE 4-0, 12 and 5. The Big Ted, aka the Commissioner of Hero, 4-0, 12 and 3. And then Hockey Boys Trace is 4-0, also 12 and Trace. You know, very close at the top. Obviously, with 4-0, you're going to have 12 wins in the game score column. Everybody within 2 losses of each other. So, right there, just little differences in like strength of schedule and whatnot. What are your thoughts, Lotus, on this top 10? Anybody shocking you right now, or anybody that you thought might have deserved to be in here that is not?
I don't think there's anyone shocking. I do want to note DeSharmo and Ron Mexico are having insane seasons all around.
Not surprising.
No, not surprising at all. I'll call Hockey Boys just because why not? Yeah, he's doing really well. He's back in THL. He is the 3 seed, I think. And there's 3 or 4,
Sounds right, yeah.
which is completely ridiculous. He's never been a 3 seed.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. Definitely,
Yeah.
understatement of the century there. You may remember him as the Mechathoon guy from
Yeah.
wasn't Masters Tour back then, whatever the heck it was called. Back then, like the qualifying cups and whatnot. But yeah, don't know if he was this good back then. Hat. It turns out that players get better over time when they're good at a game. They just keep getting better and better. So it's kind of not a surprise that hockey is
Um,
reaching these heights.
it's also he's carrying a lot more this season, I would say, than some of the previous ones. I'm pretty sure the seasons he was a 4 seed last season, and I don't think he cared that much.
Yeah, it's obviously players of this caliber are going to be doing their homework, prepping their lineups, and ready to go each and every week against whatever opponent they have. And I think I think the important thing is that you should it's Hearthstone, so RNG is always present. It's the way card games are. But if you take the prep seriously and you go into your matches, respecting every opponent and not taking anyone lightly, it definitely gives you the better chance. You can still get completely RNG'd off the face of the planet. It does happen, but you can give yourself that house edge, so to speak. And these players have been doing it all season in the top five there. So shout out to them, and we'll see where they land next week as well.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, we should point out Sage too. He hasn't played for a couple seasons. He just comes right back and he 4-0. That's whatever.
That's true.
That's impressive. Yeah, Sage and Hockey are both players that weren't playing last season. So good on you guys for just coming back and just spanking.
Hmm.
All right. So we are going to go ahead and get those up on the blog for you after the show, as promised. Last thing before we move on, we are going to talk about the matches of the week. That is the last thing we have here this evening. I did want to just kind of give a thank you to a couple different people, but in particular, this last week, we filled up the stream matches in like 6 hours. It was ridiculous. People were like falling all over each other to get on stream, and I haven't seen that happen in like multiple seasons. So thank you everybody. Thank you. It was awesome. Yeah, his ridiculous hat was getting the emails too because it's the help email. The phone was literally blowing up. I was at work. I was just like swiping through every email, and like people were just going crazy for the stream slots. So thank you so much, and I hope that as the excitement continues and everybody wants to continue to get on stream. And if you didn't get on stream this week because somebody managed to snag your spot before you got there, I do apologize. But keep trying, please do. We want to,
Yeah.
we're operating first come first serve. So just let me know if you want to play on stream. We'll get you there. We'll get you there eventually. Uh,
Yeah.
and not only that,
Um,
I did want to thank everybody who's opted this season and continue to cast yourself as well, Lotus Knight. I know you've jumped into casting matches and being able to stream op.
hmm.
Um, Quaz is doing it on Sundays as well. Saku is ever present, and it just nothing gets done without the help of everybody here. So thank you guys for continuing to step up and making sure that the shows continue to roll at their appropriate slots.
Yeah. By the way, Schoolstone is trying to find a match for this weekend.
Yes.
We're kind of flexible on timing as long as it doesn't interfere with the other THL shows. So if you want to have your match on stream, message me. You can just DM me, Lotus Knight on Discord, or you can email me, or you can message Donde and he'll message me if there's some reason you don't want to talk to me. I won't take it personal.
Twitter at just a puppy as well will probably work, or not entirely. You might as well try.
It doesn't exist.
You
We can
tried?
create
You
it.
looked for it?
I
I'm
did.
really glad you actually tried to find it.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yes, if you want to play in School Stone, do please let Lotus or myself know, and we will get you there. Rabobson and I play in pro on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. If you want an early morning match, is that something you'd be interested in there, Lotus?
Oh, I'm sure we can arrange that. If it's CST, it's fine. If
Yeah,
it's
10 a.m.
CST, I am not going to be awake. So, yeah, 10 a.m. should be fine.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get Rabobson in touch with you too, just make sure everybody's on the same page. But yeah, cool. See, look at that. We're here, we're doing the
Yeah.
show, and people are still out here getting on stream. So I appreciate that, Sharma.
Hmm. Also, just a note, this is true for School Zone, but if you want to get involved, you can always message me. We are looking for people for School Stone, and I'm sure Donde's looking for some of the other shows or matches, and there's always room, I think.
Generally, yeah. I mean, like I said, the stream email has been going out either late Sunday, early Monday. So if you're part of the matches that we do feature here on HearthCenter every week, then those are kind of the ones that we're giving priority to.
Oh,
But it is
I
occasionally.
was thinking,
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was thinking more in the if you want to join the content team.
Oh, sorry. I took it in the wrong direction. I apologize. Yeah, if you
No,
want to join the
no.
content team, like anytime is cool. Yeah, if you've got any ideas for for pieces that you want to write for the blog, which by the way, forgot to shout that out. That thing's been popping off too.
Yeah.
Based Ink is writing awesome articles. Ted just wrote an awesome article that got posted last night. Like this is the place to
Hmm.
be right now. So I'm so happy that everybody has been participating like they have. So please do just uh, DM myself, Lotus, anybody on the content team, and we will get you going.
Hmm.
So you want to talk about the matches of the week?
Let's do it.
All right. So we are going to start with Legacy. The two matches here on screen are top one is a gold conference, bottom one's red conference. So the general theme of this week will be teams we are featuring that are in the playoff hunt but need a little boost to get there. So these aren't teams that are dominating their conferences, but every match should feature teams that are right there looking to break through. So Wet Woman versus Always Top Deck Lethal here is the first match, and this is going to be a good one here. Only 3 points separating these two teams. Each of them have a tie on the season, but Wet Woman technically undefeated at 2-0-1, and ATL somehow won 2-1 despite the amount of points that they've put up. So the uh, the
Yes.
the stream match, the matches we have on stream, we actually have three of these slated to be on
Yes.
stream right now. Matty Ebbs versus Force of Will be on Friday night at 9, and then Saturday is an entirely this game centric with Dragon Rider versus Top Deck at 8 and Quirky
Yep.
versus Shunsui at 9. So, uh, Lotus, what do you think is going to happen here? We're going to see like 3/5 of this on stream anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be casting two-fifths of this match. I think this is going to be a strong match. I'm super excited for Quirky Turtle versus Shinsui because Quirky Turtle is one of the nicest people I've interacted with in THL, and Shinsui is hilarious and a good player. Both of them are good players. So I'm looking forward to see this match. I think both Shinsui was playing the four for a while, so it's interesting to see him back in the five seed. I think he can put a big fight. Out of the others, Liquid Ox versus I think that's Pond.
That is Pond. Yep.
Um, yep, yeah. Liquid Ox versus Pond is going to be good. I think it's Liquid Ox favored. He's
I mean,
undefeated so
he hasn't
far.
lost a game yet. Like, not a match,
Yeah,
a single game. So
yeah.
it's gonna be hard to
I.
pick against him at this point.
It's not a very easy call. So I think in that sense, I have to pick him to win. I think Dragon Rider is going to win as well. I think JR is going to win, and I think Force of Will is going to beat Matty Abs, and Shinsui will win. So it will be a 3-2 for Wet Woolman, and that's my call.
So I think that this whole series hinges on the 3 seed.
Yes.
I do think Liquid and Dragon Rider will win for Wet Woman. I've got Force of Will and Shunsui for ATL. So I'm looking at Brick versus Juggerlaw, and I think the thing to me about this is that Brick is much better than this record is portraying. If you look at the play
Yes.
he's doing in pro right now, I am confident that he can hang in there and have the chance to beat JR. JR looking good in pro series right now, or looking good in legacy right now at 2-1. Um, I think I'm going to take the upset in brick. And I'm gonna go ahead and say ATL wins this one, but it's something close. So I'm gonna say like 16-14 overall, as they take 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
So Legacy Red is Stubbs versus Himanoyo team. 1 point separating these teams. 1-3, 1-2 are the two records. So of course that means the Noyo team's only played 3 weeks so far, just like what Woman. So it's harder to kind of gauge. Again, we talked about the legacy bye week. If you're looking at points per week, a team like a Noyo team is in a better spot since they've only played 3 weeks over to Stubbs. But the Stubbs they need to get back on track here. They got two players who don't have a win yet, and a Noyo team is looking to kind of cement themselves in playoff contention. So we've got two matches on stream from this game. We've got the first match on Friday at Currafinwee versus the Final Refuge. That'll be at 8 p.m. And then on Sunday we have Zethund versus the Chronic at 8 p.m. as well. So I'll let you lead here, Lotus. What do you think happens in this match?
So this match has something really interesting that I don't think we've talked about. So I'll just talk about this for a little bit. In Legacy Red, a really cool effect is happening that most of the teams are bottom heavy and are going for fairly high PR threes and fours, or sorry, fours and fives, which is not a very typical thing. And the two teams that are winning are actually the teams that didn't do that. The teams with the best record so far are the two teams basically that said, we can have a strong three and not as strong of a four, which is really interesting to me. And I think that highlights this match. This match is going to be about the lower seeds. I think Knowltown will win Nate. Nate is having a pretty bad season, even if he is a great player. I think Amaj versus Osmonaut. I have to give this to Amaj, but Oz can always surprise us. Dano, I think. Actually, yeah, Dano probably can win, but I am not completely convinced there. So I think if the subs want to win, it will depend on the Chronic and on Kuro Finway putting in that weight.
Now, I do think that the Chronic is not a known 4 player. He is definitely better than that. Former All Star.
Yes.
Probably not happening this season with an 0-4 start. However, I do think even though the records are going to be in Zethun's favor, that the Chronic should not be taken lightly. And I think if there's an upset here, it might very well be that match where the Chronic gets the win, maybe like a 3-2 win over Zethun. I agree with you on Nulltown. I do think that A-Mage has a rougher time with Osmonaut than we would expect. So I think it's very possible Ozma and the Chronic get the wins for the Stubbs, but a Noyo team takes this one 3-2 with the rest of the players, Dano included, who is again a much better player than that 1-2 start he's sporting there. As we saw him, he's a top 16 player in Hero, so he's playing at least some good
Mm-hmm.
Hearthstone out there, just in a different series. So I'm gonna say Team Noyo team takes this one 3-2. I will say it is a close match, but not quite as close point wise as ATL versus Wet Woman. So I'll say something like,
Right.
I'll say like 18-11 for Team Anoyo team.
Right.
English is whack. Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry for any pronunciation. That's hey, what happens. I would say, it's tough, especially with the fact that a lot of people don't use real words in their handles. Though Amage
Right.
is a shortening of his real first initial and last name, so that is the shortcut to remembering his pronunciation. And then you got guys like Icicles or Icicles who are just like, I make up pronunciations that don't make sense because I'm me, whatever, cool, Icicles. Woo. So, all right, it's like J Lo, but different. It is. That's exactly what it's like. Our hero match of the week is the Cult versus Dad Legend. So now this is the one kind of bucking the trend a little bit. Dad Legend is 4-0 right now and killing it in hero. And the Cult is a classic team that has been around for forever, and they're kind of on that cusp of trying to break into the playoffs right now at 53 points with a 2-2 record. So I like this match here on paper quite a bit because there's some really big swings, like Quaz versus
Yeah.
Sage. Sage is obviously 4-0 right now, very highly ranked in Hero. Hockey Boys 4-0 right now, very highly ranked in Hero. Are those guaranteed wins? Do you think for Dad Legend, or do you think the Colt can pick up either of those games? And what else do you see happening here in this match?
I think this is going to be an interesting match. There are, as you said, there are very mismatched players, but the middle, all of them have very small PR differences. I think Sage is going to beat Quaz. I think the Big Ted
is underrated, and even though Yellow Dart is a great player, I have to give it to him. I think Hockey is going to beat Last Champ just because of how he's been doing at Last Champ. Great player, has not been having an amazing season. I have to give it to Booze versus Starlax, and I think the end will come down to Nine Eyebrows versus Icicles, which I actually think it's hard to say. I don't actually know that match, but I think it all boils down to that match.
So I've played against Icicles now, and very solid player, technically sound. He's going to be prepped for this
Yeah,
match, so I think that there's a good chance that Dad Legend could take all five here. I will say that I think Booze does get the win though for the cult, but Big Ted Yellow Dart, by the way, 9 p.m. on stream Sunday night. So if the match is close, that's going to be very exciting, very exciting. So just
yes,
make sure you're tuned in for that one. But I'm gonna say I think Dad Legend takes this one. We're gonna say 4-1. Four matches to one with Boozosaurus getting the only W of the week for the cult. So Dad Legend, they're just a fantastic team, and I don't
they are.
really think that I don't think that there's going to be too much of a worry for them the rest of the season as far as playoffs are concerned. And the cult is going to be one of the better teams they will face. But yeah, Dad Legend will get it done and roll towards the playoffs.
Hmm.
Booze gets the win if they're playing Runeterra. Is Booze playing a lot of Runeterra right now?
Yes.
I see. Okay. I mean, I guess he would have to be if Hat's saying it, but I have not seen that. So cool. All
So
right.
if he can maybe he can get a deal to do a Runeterra match instead of Hearthstone.
He might be able to.
Yeah.
So our pro match of the week actually already has a completed game, and the aforementioned Brick has won over Pasca 3-2. It's Taste the Rainbow versus Bad of the Bone. So another matchup of teams that I know. Taste the Rainbow is 4-0. They are in third place right now. Bad of the Bone, as we mentioned, is tied for fourth place. So this is right there. Very important for that playoff seeding, and some really powerful matchups here. Your Mumked undefeated
Yes.
versus Eggo Waffle, also undefeated, who didn't play last week because of that whole Arlington deal. Avi didn't care that he was at Arlington. He played anyway. He'll be back against Inzi this week, and then Brick playing Pasca. We already see that. Skittles versus Manny Skull, and Quirky versus A2 Battleship, who's still looking to get on the board this season. Lotus, Bad of the Bones down 4-2, definitely not out. Are they coming back this week?
This is going to be a hard week. Brick beating Pasca is actually bigger than it seems because I think Unworked versus the Eggo Waffle is going to be a very tough match. I think it's really hard to bet against Avi. So I'm going to say Avi probably wins just because I can't do it. Um, so I think Brick winning does give a better chance to taste the rainbow. On paper, just in terms of PR and in terms of how players have done in previous seasons, I would have to give this to Bad to the Bone. But I think this could still be Taste the Rainbow surviving.
I'm gonna agree with you. I definitely see a world where Taste the Rainbow wins, but I do think Bad to the Bone takes this, even though they're down 4-2 right now. Ego, Avi, and
Yeah.
A2 are gonna get the wins. Manny and Skittles should have a close match, but I think Skittles will be able to take that. But that will be the only other win that Taste of Rainbow gets this week. I'll say something along the lines of like 15-13. So plenty of points out there for Taste of the Rainbow. But Bad of the Bone's going to get the win at the end of the day. A lot of close series here. I expect there probably won't be a sweep in there. Um, I'll say like A2 to 3-1, Avi 3-2, Ego 3-2. I haven't done the math yet. Does that equal 15-13? I hope it does because I'm not going to run through that in my head real quick. Y'all know Avi can lose, right? I do know he can lose. I know that I should have beaten him in pro this season, and I threw a match. So
That happens.
I I am not pleased with myself for doing that. And if I had done the right thing it wasn't like an obvious throw, but it was one of those that the second it happened, I realized I'm like, man, I really should have done that. And if he has exactly what he needs, then I'm screwed. And he had exactly what he needed because he's Avi. So that's how it goes. And
Yeah.
you can beat him though. You just have to not make mistakes because he's gonna punish
Right.
you.
I mean, I beat him in the most Fiesta match I've ever played, where the first two matches we were playing seriously, and then it became, well, Match 3 got closed when I holy wrathed him in the face for 25 on turn 8 and killed him. Just done. And then at that point, we realized that was not going to be a normal match. Plus, we were on call with each other at the time. So it was one of the funniest matches where, like, the next match I lost because he generated Mojo Master Zihi out of Elysiana early.
Oh, that's fun.
And then the last match was just the weirdest Control Warrior mirror where, like, everything went wrong. We were both not playing well. But it ended up being I won in the end because I generated a Nubisoft Defender, or the 9-6, whatever it is, hand buff my hand twice, and then played some big guy because of it.
You know, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yes, I remember that match because just how memey it was.
Oh man, we should we should bring people on for just like stupid stories like that where they played like ridiculous matches.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, actually, before we go, we are all done for general content tonight, but we are going to hopefully have a fun feature next week that I'm going to put out into the Discord tonight. So the feature will be we want you individually to come up with what Hearthstone card that's in standard right now is each player on your team. So like what would be, like what card represents me as a player? It's not guess that player. It's what Hearthstone card represents your 5 team members, you yourself included if you play on the team as well, or if you're a captain, the 5 players that are on your team. So like for me, the example I gave is like I would be the Gurubashi Hype Mon because I'm the content guy, always posting stuff in Discord and shouting out how cool everything that we do is. So like you can make them as funny as you want, as serious as you want, just have good justifications, and we will pick our favorite one. Dante's Deathwing. Thanks, I just destroy everything around me. That's cool. It does have to be standard. We wanted to kind of like limit it just a little bit because you can go crazy looking for stuff in here, but yeah, so I thought that would be fun. We'll pick our winners for next week. Hopefully, we'll try to get some prizes going for that. So this should just be a fun little thing to see what everyone came up with. I'm just looking forward to seeing what submissions everyone has. So you'll have all week. We'll cut it off Tuesday night so that way we can talk about it on Wednesday and make sure we've got everything set up for the stream. So you've got until next Tuesday night to go ahead and pick those out. So I'll post that in Discord here afterwards if you happen to miss it, or if you just want kind of a deeper explanation of what's going on. But that's it. That's all we've got for you tonight. We actually came in an hour, Lotus. How about that?
Yeah, it's rare, but every once in a while we are successful.
We are successful. Well, I do appreciate you being here, of course. Thank you again for everyone who tuned in. Thank you again for everyone who subscribes and continues to help us, make make great content for everybody out there in THL land. So, good night from myself, from Lotus, from Just a Puppy at Just a Puppy, by the way, on Twitter. So please follow.
Yep, please
I'm sure
follow.
somebody out there made that by the time the show ended here. So.
Diamond will do it.
Diamond will do it. He'll be Just a Puppy on Twitter. That's it. Lotus, thank you again. Have a good night, everybody. Good luck in your matches this week, and we will see you next Wednesday. And please make sure to tune in to Tavern Talk tomorrow night. They will have everything you need for Legacy to get you going for this weekend. Have a great evening. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.